welcome to this week's podcast, where I am absolutely delighted to be joined by Jessica Snape. I'm going to let Jessica tell you all about herself in a second because I won't explain it as beautifully as she does. But I'm really excited to have this conversation with her. So, Jess, do you want to start by introducing yourself?
Hello, everyone. I am Jess Snape, and I am a personal trainer with 15 years experience, and I specialize in strength and mobility coaching. And my kind of thing is I'm really into individualized fitness. So I've been in the industry a long time. I've worked with hundreds of people, and I've had lots of qualifications. I've worked in everything from postnatal rehab to working with professional athletes. And I like to work one-on-one with people and come up with specific, bespoke, tailored, individualized, whatever your word of choice is, routines and programs that work for them, that work with their personality, that work with their lifestyle, that work with the amount of time they have. Because that is the big thing. Busy people can find it hard to find the time to get their exercise in, to get their flexibility training in, to get all of that. So that's kind of what I specialize in. I'm kind of
Love
an
it.
individual-led personal trainer.
Yes. And you're a mum?
I am a mom. I have
How old?
my son is going to be 8 a week from today.
8. Oh my goodness. And you have a furry teenager.
I have a puppy who has entered puberty. Woo, that's hard work. Possibly good practice for when the other one enters puberty. I don't know.
I
Uh,
have no idea. I'm not sure that my dog as a teenager he has was anything compared to my boys as teenagers. So I've brought the puppy up because we may get interrupted by the puppy. The
yeah,
puppy has already been chewing shoes this morning. We're going to invite the puppy to come
loves
into the
shoes,
space.
loves smelly trainers. Yeah, so apologies in advance if I have to suddenly if you hear me yell. He's called Frankie, so if you hear me yelling at Frankie, that's who that is.
That's who that is. So we're furry mums as well as like human mums. So we're just going to chat about all things, what it's like to be a working mum, what you see most from a physical perspective in the mums that you work with. And then I'd be really curious, given that I sit at a desk most of the time, I would be really curious around some very basic exercises that we could possibly do at our desk to kind of open our shoulders up. So where do you want to start?
Oh gosh. Well, should we start with talking about being mums?
Let's
That's
do it. Because I do know
that seems the natural place to start.
it does. Because when I said to you, would you like to come on the podcast? You said yes, because I have lots to say about mums. Do you even remember that comment?
But I stand by it. I'm not.
So
I'm not.
tell me, start by saying what do you think, what do you see most common with mums that you work with?
I see a lot of guilt. I
Mm.
see a lot of comparing themselves to their friend who carries body fat different places. Well, but my friend has
Yeah.
a flat stomach. You know. I see a lot of uh, this time. I'm a bit of a time fantasist. I don't know about you. I always think, gosh, I want to do these 7 million things tomorrow, and then of course I only get 3 or 4 done, and then I'm like, beat myself up over it. So I get that with clients. They think they should be doing 3 or 4 hours of fitness a day.
Yeah.
They've got children, they've got a family, they've got a job. So I see a lot of that. I see a lot of this kind of guilt and shame around what they think they should be doing
Mm.
in terms of fitness, in terms of, their pain pattern. I feel most people have a pain pattern, especially when
Yeah.
you're past middle age. There's something, there's a niggle, there's something. It's a hip or it's a lower back, or you wake up and it's a bit hard to get out of bed in the morning, or the neck and shoulders hurt. And there's this guilt and shame that, I'm broken, I'm old, so I really try to be a cheerleader to moms and kind of remind them of how many responsibilities they have and also how amazing they are at being a mom and how hard it is to be a working mom. There's only 24 hours in the day.
Yeah. Yep.
I Before I had kids, I wasn't even doing 3 hours of fitness a day, and I worked in a gym.
Yeah.
Crazy person to be doing that.
Yeah. It's so true, isn't it? And how um that comparison, I can't remember who said it. I've seen it quite a lot on Instagram. Comparison is the thief of peace. Is that the quote? As in, when we compare ourselves to other people, we always feel really shit because what we don't do is we don't compare the whole picture. We just look at one little bit and, oh, she's that. But we don't take into account possibly the other areas of that person's life. Like, and if we're going to compare ourselves to one thing, we have to be willing to take everything. And when you look at everything, you're like, oh, actually, no, I wouldn't really want to deal with that bit, or I wouldn't want to deal with that bit, or I wouldn't want to deal with that bit. So, how do you start to help? Because I think one of the things that I fall into is that, oh, it's something else that I
Yeah.
have to do. Um, and what I try to do, and I am not by any means perfect or even maybe good at this, but it's about just the tiny little things like, I've been practicing wall angels recently in order to try and open up my my shoulders and start to engage that back part of me. And but if I just do that once a day, that's a bonus. I'm like, well done, that's brilliant. So how do you start to where do you start?
Well, it's kind of with exactly that, like exactly what you've said. It's about the kind of small rocks. So it's about kind of, okay, what can we do to make ourselves feel a little bit better? Okay, I love wall angels. Another one I love is a resistance band revolution where you kind of take the band all the way back and bring it forward. And what I say to people is leave the band by the kettle
Yeah.
and then just do one or two every time you pass it throughout the day. We start with the little things and then we start to notice, or I find with my clients, they start to notice these changes, they feel better, and then they automatically start to integrate it a little.
Mm. Yeah, because that's the thing. We're all waiting for motivation to come along, aren't we?
Yes, yeah.
And we all think, oh, when I'm motivated, I'll do it. I am never fucking motivated to exercise. Like it's never been something that I have ever been motivated to do. Some people are, which is great, but not for me. And so, but what I notice is I start it unmotivated, and we could actually apply this to any task in our lives, right? But we start it unmotivated, then we go, oh, actually, that feels good. Now, that like primitive part of our brain that just wants to stay lazy is like, oh, okay. Actually, maybe it's not so bad. And then the motivation starts to come. But to begin with, we just have to do it unmotivated.
I agree. And also I think, yeah, people don't know what to do. That's the thing. It can be overwhelming. You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
I've got this pain. I want to lose weight. I'm in menopause and I know I need to do strength training because I know that there's stuff around the skeleton. And oh my God, I don't have any time to do anything. Where am I, or motivation?
Yeah.
Where am I going to start? So I do a lot of education as well with people. I try to kind of gently go, okay, so this is why you're feeling like this, and here's this
Mm.
this small actionable thing you can do. You know,
Yeah.
help build a little bit of a habit to where you go, oh, I got this crick in my neck again. I know what I got. Just grab that band and do a few of those, and it feels better. You know,
Yeah.
it becomes
Yeah.
becomes automatic.
Yeah. I've never quite found, other than dancing, I've never quite found an exercise. I quite like yoga. Um, and I do love cold water swimming, but in the winter, you're not in long enough for it to be an exercise. It's just more of a cold water therapy. But I've never quite found an exercise that I've gone, oh, I love to do it. You know, those people that just go, I really love going out for a run. I'm like, how does that happen? Because I don't get it.
This is another thing I work with people on because I work with so many women who are doing a kind of fitness they hate,
Yeah.
and they're dreading it and they're really forcing themselves to do it. And it's a real keeping up with the Joneses situation. It's because their friend does it and looks great, or they've seen someone on Instagram do it and they say they feel great, you know. And there are so many different kinds of movement we can do. Some
Mm.
people, they just want to do yoga and maybe long walks. Some people, like you say, are really into running.
Yeah.
Some people I love lifting weights. That's my thing. I love gyms. I'm a real gym bunny. I love being at the gym. I love everything about it. Uh,
Yeah.
some people like classes. Some people like, doing stuff outdoors. Some people just want to work out in their home. They have some dumbbells at home and that kind of thing. You will get results if you do something you like. I know that that's like a real groundbreaking piece of advice, but so many people I work with, especially women, it's I say you have to find something you enjoy. You should, if you enjoy it, you
Yeah.
do it more.
Yeah. That is so true. That is, and I think as well, what happens is you hear people go, like one expert will say, "Oh, you have to go to a gym and do resistance training," and then the next expert will go, "No, do it at home and do it with dumbbells," and then the next expert will say, "Oh, do it outside and go to a class," and it's we hear this with the diet industry as well, don't we? There's this diet and there's this way of eating. And so I really think, and I love what you say about doing that individual approach around it has to suit the individual, her lifestyle, what other things she's got going on, and do it that way.
Absolutely, because there are some people who would prefer to be outdoors all the time. They really
Mm.
thrive being outdoors. I will be outdoors on a sunny day, but I'm like not into the rain. Like, I don't know. I can't, I didn't grow up here. I can't get rained on. I just don't, I find it degrading. I don't know.
Which, so let me just let listeners, even though you can hear Jessica's American accent, you actually live in Bath in the UK, don't you? Which is
Yes. Yeah,
how
yeah,
we
yeah.
met through networking.
Um,
And
yeah.
yeah, so you chose to move here, and it
Yeah.
rains quite a lot in England. Although at the moment it's beautiful.
The weather is gorgeous. We're in the, yeah. And
It's
it's like,
amazing.
I go out and everyone's running, it's
Yes.
everyone's out for a run.
Yeah.
Uh, 'Cause it's glorious weather. But and there's lots of outdoor fitness in Bath and in a lot of places in the UK if you're into park runs, and there's all kinds of triathlon clubs and cycling clubs and all of that. But that's not going to be for everybody because it's
Yeah.
at-home workouts. You talk about motivation. Some people, I have a few clients, they hate gyms. They've got motivation for days to work out in their home. I make recommendations on quite affordable fitness kit you can get for your home, and they really thrive at putting that time aside and doing that workout. I find it very difficult to work out at home. I have all the gear here, but I'm like, I got to clean the fridge. I'll always find something to do at home that I just can't get motivated to work out at home. But if I go to the gym, I'm super motivated. I have to really
Yeah.
walk because I'll be there 2 hours if I don't. You got to go. You got stuff to do. And it really is about the individual.
Mm.
It really is what suits lifestyle. What time of day do you train? I'm an early bird. We're talking in the morning. I've already been out for a run and had two clients today. And it's like what, 9:30. I get up really early. I'm early to bed, early to rise. I always have been. So I am a really early that I do my training really early. I can't really train after about 9 a.m. I'll talk myself out of it. I've just got too much to do. Some people train in the evening or they want to train at lunchtime, or that's just when their natural rhythm
Yeah.
is best fit for exercise. And that is really the crucial thing. If you want to have a sustainable fitness plan, you've got to figure these things out about yourself.
Yeah.
And you've
Yeah.
got to kind of work with those things because I tried briefly in my life to go to evening fitness classes, and I shut down after like school pickup. Like 3 o'clock, I'm kind of like going into
Yeah.
stand, and it was a slog, to have to go to these evening fitness classes. So we have to be really aware of when we're at our best for this,
Yeah.
but it works best with our schedule.
Yeah. That I am not a morning person. I kind of wish I was, but I'm not at all. I mean, I do quite like I get up and I do yoga. So I have a glass of lemon water and I do just like 10 minutes of stretching and yoga, and I really notice that if I don't do that, bits start to niggle and ache. And I've got into that good habit now. And literally because I just started with like 5 minutes and then I went to 10 minutes. And I could I could extend it now to 15. But it is about fitting in with the schedule, isn't it? I remember during lockdown, I actually did the using the Couch to 5K app on my phone. I did actually start jogging and I really enjoyed it, but I had nowhere to be. So
Right.
I could get up, I could wake up naturally, I could go out, I could come back. There was no time restrictions. Whereas Now the boys are at school and I choose to take them to school in the mornings. I love that they can walk home, but in the morning I choose to take them and I love that time. But it does mean that you only have you only have a specific period of time in which to do your thing. So then I think it's around going, right, okay, if I've only got 10 or 15 minutes, what is the most impactful exercise that I can do in that time? Do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. And I think it depends a lot on where you're coming from and where you're going. So I work with a lot of women who are uh, still having issues from pregnancy and birth, and we have a saying in the postnatal rehab world is that once postnatal, always postnatal.
Mm.
So I've worked with women whose children are now in their 20s, and we are still able to kind of sort out some of the issues. So if you only got 10
Mm.
or 15 minutes and you have pain, you know, then that would be the time to do mobility, core strengthening, that kind of thing, activating certain postural muscles. That is really the crucial thing to do before going out on a sprint session or something, and people going, okay, I've got 10 minutes, I'm going to do a boot camp workout or something like that, is doing the body scan, checking in, you know,
Yeah,
going back to the awareness, getting that presence and going, how am I feeling today? Okay, I'm a bit tingly in the neck. Maybe I shouldn't go out and do a bunch of push-ups. Maybe I should instead work on some wall angels or some scapular squeezes, which I'm going to show you in a bit, because that's something that can really be done at a desk or just seated, that
yeah.
or some chin tucks or something like that, because as we get older, we need to do more mobility and flexibility. We
Mm.
need to really supplement our exercise with mobility and flexibility. And that is really that's where longevity is going to happen, is that,
Yeah.
taking care of the joints, we're taking care of how we move, and then we can put the exercise on top of it to get the strength, to get the aesthetics, people wanting weight loss, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I always start with the foundation of, if you've got time, do you need to do any mobility? Does anything
Mm.
hurt? Does anything feel stiff? That kind of thing.
Yeah. One thing that I love that you put on, I think I saw it on Instagram. It may have been LinkedIn. I know you do similar content on both, don't you? Like, which is exactly what I do as well. Um, but there's not much point stretching if the muscle you're trying to stretch isn't strong or something like that. And it
Yeah.
really made me think the amount of times that I'm trying to like stretch out my neck, and I was like, oh, hang on a minute. Maybe I need to do some strengthening around this as well, like the other parts of my body in order to. It just really made that one little comment that you said just really made me think. That's so interesting.
Yes, I think I did a series where I was talking about um, yoga and flexibility, and then the concept of mobility, because I do sports massage and I do a lot of soft tissue work on people as well. And people come in and they go, I don't understand. I do all this stretching and yoga, and I've still got all this stiffness and pain. And I say, well, there's a difference between stretching out a muscle between a joint and actually working on the joint. Right?
Yeah.
Our joints are meant to move through a certain range of movement. And when they get locked up and they don't move through that range of movement, then that affects the muscles. You won't be able to stretch those muscles because they're not in their optimal position anyway. Um, so mobility is kind of, doing, well, stuff like the wall angels, stuff where we're doing repetitions, 10 to 15 repetitions, just kind of getting the joints to open up a little bit more. And then we can stretch. And then we get the benefits of the stretching. And yoga is really good. I love yoga. I think it's so good for so many reasons. You can stretch a lot of things at once, but
Mm.
if your joints aren't working properly, you're not going to get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
You won't be able to get the benefits of moving through those movements.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. So is there like your one exercise that you seem to just everybody seems to do?
Yes. It's this. Do I have my band? I don't have my band here. I'm so unprepared. You can do it with a towel as well, but I don't think. Let's see. Actually, let's do the scapular squeezes now because they're similar.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So our scapula is our shoulder blades, right?
Yeah.
And when a lot of people, especially if they're looking at screens, that can be looking at a phone. It can be doing a lot of driving. I count the windscreen as a screen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it has the word in it. So
Exactly. So or sitting at a desk, uh, our shoulder blades lose their mobility. So that means they don't move as they're supposed to. And the shoulder blades move a lot of different ways. They move up and down, they move together and apart, they kind of rotate, that kind of thing. So one of a really simple way that we can get that mobility back is we just squeeze them together. Yeah. So we have a slight, I'm going to change my angle here if anyone's watching. So we've got a slight bend in the elbows, and we're kind of thinking about drawing our elbows back and down and really visualizing that space in between our shoulder blades and seeing, do they move? It looks like you've got pretty good scapular movement there, Nikki. How does it feel?
So when I'm doing it, am I focusing on that bit between like the shoulder blade and the spine, like that,
Yep, yep,
like in
exactly.
the people? If you're not watching this on YouTube, I'm actually trying to point to my back, but you can't even see that on YouTube. But that, yeah. So, and when you're doing it, are you trying to hold your shoulders down at the same time? Because that's what I notice. My shoulders get lifted up. So,
For the shoulders, we're thinking about almost, we're drawing the shoulder blades together, but we're also trying to put them in our back pockets.
oh,
Can we
okay,
get the scapula to draw together and can we slide it down the back? And when you get that movement, and you might need to do 5 or 6 repetitions before you get this.
yeah,
When we get that scapula moving, you start to feel a lot of stuff in the middle of your back activate.
yeah,
So that's the thoracic spine region. This is the issue. This is the area that just gets really locked up and kind of stops working when people do a lot of sitting,
yeah,
whether
yeah,
it's desk or whether it's driving. So even just doing a few of these, you can do these anywhere, thinking about drawing the shoulder blades together and then again down, really depressing them, it's called, into the
yeah,
back. That's going to activate your middle back, which is automatically going to change your posture. You're going to
yeah.
get up straighter. Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because I think most people know what their stomach muscles are, because we're so used to seeing stomach crunches
Yes, right.
and I think during pregnancy and childbirth, I'm actually really grateful that I really focused on my pelvic floor exercises and
Right.
even talking to you now, I can feel myself going and like clenching them all up. And so from that perspective, that
It's
area
a
for me is
soothing.
actually it's good. But no one, we don't ever, it's not really in my, it's never really come into my orbit. No one's ever really said this area is like that back area that you called it the did you say the
Classic.
thoracic spine? That is actually also a really vital, and I think even if you just bring it into your awareness, which is what I'm always talking about with our thoughts, right? But it's the same with our physical body. Just bringing it into your awareness instantly takes your focus and your energy there. And I've never heard, I think we're probably hearing more about it because of screens and phones
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
physical impact that's having on our bodies. But that's not a normal area that you kind of think about.
Well,
That
no, because
makes sense.
it's not sexy. There's nobody in a bikini going, look at my thoracic region. Whereas people can become very obsessed with abs, you know.
Yes.
Um, it- I grew up in the 80s. I feel like there was lots of crash dieting. There was lots of endless aerobics because everyone wanted that stomach, you
Yeah.
know. And I feel a lot of women I work with who are similar age to me or a bit older, okay, they're kind of they want that 6 pack, you know.
Yeah.
I kind of go, we don't live in a warm weather country. Like at the moment, how often is your stomach out that you want 6 pack, you know? But it is kind of easy to get, I think, very focused on the core because we have been just there's just so much imagery around the kind of sculpted stomach.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm thinking those Cindy Crawford DVDs that you used to see, it was all about this like
That was
having
the
that
sign that you were thin and that you were, you know, that was how we were supposed to look.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I think that's why. But I'm like feeling my thoracic spine is really activated now. So I like it's easier to sit up straight,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I've got my sternum up. I've got my shoulders are in a perfect position, my neck,
Yeah.
my all of that. I tell people, yeah, set little reminders throughout the day, once an hour. Just do 5 of those. Just reset your scapula because as you sit, whether again you're driving, driving's terrible for our
Yeah.
spine, or you're on your phone all day, or you're at a computer, the shoulder blades are going to slide out of position.
Yeah.
And over time, the crucial muscles around them become weak because we're in this bad position all the time. And that's when we start to get tech neck, we start to get rounded shoulders, we start to
Yeah.
get, but we can prevent that and change it just by doing these few simple, you know,
Yeah.
but you have to kind of do them throughout the day. And I think that's where most people, um, they don't succeed because you're not going to remember, especially if
Yeah.
you're not going to remember to do your scapular squeezes every hour over the whole day.
Not unless you've got a, like you say, a notification popping up. But
Right,
I
so you have
do,
that notification in, you know.
yeah. But I do like what you said about the kettle. Like there are things that we do. Like I quite often say to my clients, well, it's easier with your thinking because so when you're brushing your teeth, we do that twice a day without even considering. We just do it. It's so habitual. So that's a habit that you're already into. Well, whilst you're brushing your teeth, start thinking about your thoughts. You can't, that's not quite so easy to do a scapular squeeze whilst you're brushing your teeth.
No,
But
no, no, exactly.
when the kettle's on,
Kettle's
that
on. Yeah.
2 or 3, that 2 minutes that the kettle takes to cook, like have a sticker on your kettle and go, right, whilst you're waiting for the kettle to boil, instead of getting scrolling on social, practice your scapular squeezes.
Practice. Yeah, reset your scapula.
Yeah,
Reset your
yeah. While you're waiting for someone to come into a meeting, practice your scapular squeezes. Whilst you're, there's little things that we do throughout the day already that we could easily add that into.
yeah, and I think that it will make such a big difference
Yeah,
because that thoracic spine, because of where it's at in the body, if that starts to again get switched off, get deactivated, you've got everything from tension headaches to lower back
yeah,
pain to, you know, and it's awful to go through life with this chronic pain. I mean,
yeah,
it colors everything, doesn't it?
yeah,
Um, and it is preventable, but it has to be, we have to, again, all I feel like I'm a broken record here. I keep talking about awareness, but we have to be aware that if we're sitting in these postures for sometimes, 5, 6, 7 hours over a working day with little breaks here and there, like the body is no one's going to be able to sit 8 hours like like this.
yeah,
We are probably going to slouch a bit, especially if you're absorbed in what you're doing, that kind of thing.
yeah,
Just need to reset it, and it's 5, 6 reps here and there makes a huge difference and
yeah.
takes about 30 seconds.
I
It's
can already, yeah, that's it. And I can already feel that having just done those bits that we've done, I'm already sat up straight. I mean, in a minute, I'll probably be back down like this because I'll be,
I'm already slouching now.
yeah. But also what I think what you were just saying is that awareness, because that's exactly what I teach with thought work and emotional work is the awareness is key, first of all, without them beating yourself up for being where you are.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's the optional piece because I think what we can sometimes do is go, "Oh, I should know this. I shouldn't be slouching. I shouldn't." Now we end up that bitchy voice in our heads end up beating ourselves up, and that part is totally optional. I think like from here onwards, now you've listened to this podcast, and also go and follow Jess on social medias because your videos are brilliant. Usually the puppy's there somewhere.
I
I love
can't.
it.
I have to have him in there because he's just gonna bark or tear something up, chew up all my shoes.
Yeah. But it just makes it normal. This is what most people are dealing with. We don't have the perfect life where we, breeze through our day doing exactly what we want to do. We are checking the dog, checking the kids, like looking after everyone, doing our businesses, doing our work. We are going through all those things. So seeing you doing it that way, I just think makes it so much more personable and human and it's more engaging. It's more, it feels to me like it's more doable. Like I look at you and go, I could do that. Whereas I look at, these going back to the Cindy Crawford 80s
Yes,
kind of
right.
tiny little and I'm like, I'm never gonna be that and yet I'm comparing myself to try and be that, and it feels shit. That's not motivating.
Yes,
But
yes.
I think so. We will put all of Jess's details in the show notes, so you can connect with her and follow her on your preferred platform. But um, what do you think, or is there something that we haven't talked about that you feel is really relevant?
Um, we covered, I talked about how, I mean, the big thing for me, and I talked about this at the beginning, is the shame that comes with comparing ourselves to other people
Yeah.
online. As someone who's worked in fitness for 15 years, I look at some of these accounts that women compare themselves to, and these women have had plastic surgery
Yeah.
on their abs, tummy tucks, you know. And I just but they would never say that. They're claiming it's from their, you know, from their diet and lifestyle. And with with the rise of the weight loss jab, you are getting a lot of this. You know, you're getting a lot of people, celebrities going, no, I've lost these 200 pounds in 3 months through diet and exercise, which is literally impossible. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would just say just keep that in mind, you know. Um, Men get it as well. There's a lot of male influencers who are on steroids who claim they're natural, you know. It's
Yeah.
of the women lying about their tummy tucks and plastic surgery. But I see a lot of that, especially in the postnatal market. Oh, I worked in the postnatal market, um, exclusively in the postnatal market, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, and there were so many personal trainers who'd had work done who were claiming they looked like that because of the programs they were selling. Um,
Sad, isn't
I just
it?
found very, very sad and very, very deceptive, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's not, and it's not true, is it? Like you're and body shapes as well. We have different body shapes. I even just look at me and my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law is proper into, she loves it. If fitness and exercise is easy for her to do. But when I look at us, we have very different shapes. I am very curvy. I always have been, and she's naturally more um like thin and tiny and like a runner's physique. Well, I will even if I did hours and hours and hours of exercise a day, I would not get her body because that's her body type. That's not mine. So it's working, it's learning to love and have so
Yeah,
much gratitude, I think, for the gorgeous bodies that we have been given. And our bodies are incredible, regardless of the size, shape, or we can celebrate that and actually starting to do the like the shoulder squeezes, the thoracic squeezes. I can't remember exactly what
cap
you said.
squeezes. Yeah.
Doing the wall angels when the kettle's boiling, out of a celebration for how incredible our human bodies actually are. I just think so is so much nicer than trying to do it out of shame or comparison or judgment.
Absolutely. And kind of acknowledging that, you know, pregnancy and birth is the biggest biomechanical change a human being can go through.
Yeah.
When we look at what happens in pregnancy and you look at the spine is pulled really far forwards. There's nothing else in life, maybe a terrible car accident, you know, that
Mm.
would happen. And we give birth and then the body kind of reverts, you know. It's just incredible. And you think, wow, we've been through this enormous biomechanical change and we're still
Yes.
working and raising kids and, you know, all of this stuff. Like, be kind to yourself. Don't worry about your six pack. It's going to go
Yeah.
back to raining like within a few days anyway. You never have it out. Wear a one piece on your beach holiday. Like, don't worry about the crash dieting and the abs and all of that. Like,
Yeah.
about again the longevity. You know, I work with women
Yes.
who get slipped discs. You can slip a disc from sitting too much. Yeah.
Mm.
You can avoid that by doing some simple mobility exercises that reset the posture so that you're not going to put that pressure through the spinal discs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Celebrate that, you know, celebrate yeah, like you say, different body types. It's the grass is always greener. I have an athletic build. I'm very straight up and down, and all I ever wanted was to have a big something. I just want a curve somewhere, you
Yeah.
know. Whereas so many women will go, I just want to be straight up and down.
I
It's
know.
like it's so
It's the same with curly hair, though, isn't it? Yeah.
curve.
People with curly hair want straight hair. What people with straight hair want curly hair. We
Yeah.
always think the other is better.
I always think the other is better, but it's
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's not at all. It's not. So I'm really fortunate that I live close to you so I can come to you like in person. But for those people that aren't quite as close to Bath geographically, do you work online or is it only in
I
person?
do, and actually, I'm launching I have an app. I have a Jessica Snape app that I'm
Ooh.
going to be doing a soft launch for at the end of this month, and I'm going to be doing courses in the app that you can do at home. So my first one is called the Desk Detox,
Ooh.
and it's a 3 day a week at home strength and mobility program. The only equipment you need is a resistance band. And it's a 6 week program, though it then progresses. You can stay on it as long as you want. The workouts are about 15 minutes, so they're not too long. Um,
Perfect.
and I'm just going to be doing new courses every 2 or 3 months. So I'm currently working on my postnatal course. And that again is not solely for women who've just had babies, but once postnatal, always postnatal. You
Yeah.
know, if you've had a child, you're a mom and you feel you've got core issues or you've got a little bit of leaking or even hip issues or just something, this could be for you. So I'm going to be
Yeah.
launching that. There'll be a membership. Um, People can do as many courses as they want. I'm going to do everything from elbow pain to knee pain to, a course for runners. I'm even going to do one on how to build a bigger butt because I get asked this all the time, by straight up and down women.
Yeah, it's really funny because that's one of the things my sister-in-law looks at me and she's like, I had it was really funny. So my brother-in-law got a plunge tub. I love cold water.
Nice bath, nice
Not
bath.
initially, but I like the after effects of cold water. And he had it outside when he first got it. And we arrived and I didn't have my swimming costume. So I literally got in my bra and knickers and I wear a thong. So I'm climbing over really undignified into this plunge tub and I'm trying to cover my bum as if I could with my hand. But I am blessed with a sizable ass. And my sister-in-law was like, I would dream to have an ass like yours. Like, because she's trying to build her butt because she doesn't have one. And I think she's beautiful and her body's incredible. But it is fascinating, isn't it? How,
Always, the grass is always greener on the other side.
yeah, yeah.
I have
Oh,
so
that's really
many
cool.
clients who have a similar shape to you, and because of course I have noticed your butt, Nikki. I'm not gonna
It's there.
And I always say to them, it's gorgeous. Why would you want to make? I said, we could make it bigger. They go, no, Jess, no, I don't want to
Yeah.
make it bigger. But yeah, so I am going to be launching that app. And there is people can text me through the app and with questions and all of that kind of thing.
Brilliant.
And I've got all the videos. I film all the videos at my house. My dog's in them sometimes.
Of course. Has to be. It's like cats as well. Cats are the same. Cats always have to make an appearance.
Yes, right. I know. They have to get their little time in the limelight.
Yeah, yeah. So we will put all of those details in the notes below. So if you're listening either on YouTube or driving or cooking tea, actually, if you're listening whilst you're cooking the tea, not while you're driving, unless you're sat at traffic lights, have a go
Yeah.
because it does actually feel good. Even just bringing your awareness to that part of your body, which you're probably not at all aware of, it does actually feel really nice.
Yes, and think again, just to review, we're bringing the scapula together, but we're also thinking about pushing it down. We're trying to push
Yes.
back pockets because that will
Yeah.
really activate those mid back muscles.
Yeah.
Get really sleepy because we're slumped.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're slumped, so they don't need to hold us upright anymore. So they just check out. They go, okay,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
And I think what you just said really hit home actually. They don't need to hold us up anymore. And I think like I noticed for me, I'm always trying to hold my shoulders are always up.
Right,
And
yeah.
I think my shoulders are trying to hold not only me up, but the rest of the world. It's like I don't need to hold because these shoulder muscles here, like the top, I'm pointing to the end where my arms meet my shoulders looking at me. Um, they're not actually holding my body. It feels like I'm being drawn up by two
Yeah.
wires, as if that's what's holding me up. And that's not what's holding me up. What's holding me up is when I activate it, my core, my back thoracic area, that lower back, And then my shoulders have permission to relax.
Yes, and that's the thing. I know that when I get stressed, I hunch. No,
Yeah,
that's a and I catch myself, especially if I'm angry. I've got my shoulders up to my ears, and then I
yeah,
have to wait a minute. That's gonna make certain muscles overactive, which
yeah,
means I'm gonna go, right, well, if I'm holding the shoulders up, I might as well hold the neck and the head up. So those
yeah,
other
and the rest of the world.
so that can all that can just go to sleep. And that's when you start to get the tension headaches and the tech neck and all of that.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. I've enjoyed this conversation so much, Jess. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you
Thank you for
so much
having
for joining
me.
me.
Thank you. Hope everyone has
You're
a gorgeous day. Gorgeous
Yes.
rainy day by the time this goes live, probably, but hopefully not.
Well, I don't know. This is going to go live next. Well, what it is irrelevant if you're talking like listening to this next year in 2026, but we're recording it on the 2nd of May. So I think it's going to go live whatever next. So the 9th of May, next Friday. Um, but yes, I mean, in England, the weather looks like it's dry for as long as you can see at the moment, which is like unheard of.
No, but now I'm so anglicized now. I'm going, oh, I need some rain for my garden.
Yeah, I know. I have to
I
water my
forgot.
pots.
What have I become?
I know it's funny, isn't it? It is funny. Thank you so much for joining me. Everybody needs to connect with Jess because she's, as you can tell by her voice, and if you're looking on YouTube, just this beautiful little angel that's come to talk to us today. So thank you for your time. I appreciate you so much. And everybody else, I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.